sun and blocks it for several minutes. BBC science presenter and physicist Professor Brian Cox is in town at the moment, so we thought we'd catch up for a chat about the moon. For you, what's so wonderful about an eclipse?
They are the most spectacular things. I mean, I saw one really lucky in India a few years ago, a place called Varanasi, and it was interesting actually because you see the moon move across the face of the sun, and then I got this is a ball of rock. I'm in space.
Yeah.
You know, it just occurred to me. I almost felt dizzy.
Yeah, I saw one as a kid in Melbourne, and it was quite amazing. Everything kind of goes dark. The birds went to sleep. Everything.
Yeah. There's a change in mood, isn't there? It's silence.
And it's quite a coincidence, isn't it, really? I mean, the moon and the sun are miles apart in terms of distance, and yet they match up in the sky almost perfectly.
Exactly what it is. It's a coincidence. And also, interestingly and quite wonderfully, it's a temporary coincidence. I mean, we know that the moon is moving away from the Earth every year, just under 4 centimetres. So we live at the perfect time, in a sense.
Is there anywhere else in the solar system that match-up occurs?
No, is the short answer. There's some speculation that Pluto may have moons that are about the right size, but the sun is so small from Pluto that it's almost a star.
Our moon is quite unusual in terms it's very big, but it also probably formed in a different way to a lot of other moons in the solar system.
What we think happened was that in the early history of the solar system, a planet, a big planet, probably almost Mars size, was involved in a glancing collision with the Earth. So they bounced off each other. Chunks of the Earth were knocked out, and it's that rubble that then coalesced into the moon. And the reason we think that, we have evidence from the Apollo missions, because we've studied the moon rocks. They have very similar chemical composition, so they look like Earth rocks. And also, there's very little iron in the moon. And the explanation for that is that because the blow was glancing, it didn't hit the cores of these two planets. Now, the core of a planet is where all the heavy elements and the iron is.
Is the fact that we kind of have this big moon that's very unusual, and the fact that we have life, which is also very unusual in the solar system, could there be a connection?
What's interesting about biology is that it's a very complex science. So what we do know is that this tree of life that we've got, so if you look at the distribution of species, there are obviously birds and mammals and humans and reptiles and plants and fish and all those things, then that particular distribution must depend on a huge number of factors, and surely the moon is part of that. So it produces tidal areas, for example. So you get an interface between water and land, which is kind of a damp region, a kind of a hybrid between the two. So it's thought that may well have been important in allowing animals to get out of the ocean onto the land in the first place, and those tidal zones are there because of the moon.
Well, look, thank you very much. Enjoy your time in Australia.
Pleasure.